What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Jomoking. These castles that I'm going to be doing today have been on the list for a month, maybe even longer. These have been on here for a very long time, so I'm going to actually get through these today. I don't know if they're going to be new castles or not, but I'll still be able to comment on them because pretty much the only thing that's changed is the creatures that you would build now have double damage. So let's jump into this level 27 castle, validated by a knight. Alright. Let's take a look at this. I don't know if these people still even play the game. It's been a while. Alright, so what kind of Stairmasters are these? Alright, these are teleport. This is actually something that could be very good in the new update, with the double damage and everything. These were probably level 26 because they're, I don't know actually, they look like they might be new, which would still make them 27 because this castle level is 27. I'm hoping that I would not be able to just stun them and volley them all in a group like this. Probably a better way of using them would be to put them in a room with each of them in a corner so that you can't get a good stun on every single one of them. Because the whole point of having these things would be to have to chase them down as they're dealing their damage, and they should be dealing decent amounts of damage now that it got doubled. They always had pretty decent damage, so. But yeah, it looks like this is at least somewhat of a newer castle. These don't have chickenpox, so that's good. Alright, so we have a derp with a Defendatron thing here. Luckily I saw it beforehand. If there was any way to put more pressure in this zone, it would encourage people to just jump right in with them. I'll jump right in with them anyway, just to see how it works. This does actually work sometimes. Again, I'm high level and I'm super high DPS, so I can one-shot a Defendatron and trash mobs under it a lot of the time, which is kind of sad, but, you know. A lot of these barricades are getting destroyed by your own rotating flame traps. I hate that that actually happens, but it does. This is pretty much how you're supposed to use these derps in this setup, though. The Smelly Archer's kind of weird. I'm guessing these two are on Bola Strike. You don't have to have two on Bola Strike, though. I think you could have at least one on Boomerang to do a little bit extra damage. But all in all, that's about how you're supposed to do it. Maybe there's a little bit too much space here. If you're able to make those barricades slightly tighter, you want to limit the space as much as possible. And then, like I said, you want to have it so that people can't kite back outwards as easily. I'm planning on making my first, like, full material defense sometime probably next week. I might start prototyping it soon and just seeing how my ideas are all working at first. I mean, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I've seen some good castles, and if all else fails, I can take some ideas from those. But I want to do at least somewhat of my own design, at least something that I haven't seen before. Maybe other people have been doing it already, but I haven't seen it. This is a lot of Defendatrons for these units. I'm wondering if this is just maybe how many materials he had, like he just didn't have enough materials to have more, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Or 6, no, it's just 6. 6 Defendatrons guarding just these handful of units. Like, it's not really worth it. Alright. And yeah, all of these are level 27 creatures, so I'm dealing a little bit of extra damage here. On top of my already extremely high DPS of over 2,000. I think they need to, like, come down on the hero DPS. I think there's a few changes that they still need to make to heroes to make this update actually work in terms of balance. I think instead of having, like, you know, I went from 1,000 to 2,000 DPS, instead of going from that, from being that high, they could go to, like, 1,500 or 1,750 even, if they wanted to do it slightly less, you know. But I think even 1,500 would still be fine. Like, I'm dealing way too much damage. If they want to keep it up this high, they should add, like, just a flat health increase to every mob. But, I don't know. Being able to one-shot things with a big AoE effect makes the mob extremely hard to use. Like, that was the whole problem with all of these trash mobs that we never liked to use before. Before open creation, you couldn't use anything but elites. Like, you just couldn't do it because everything was able to be one-shot by volley, and no one would use it. It would just be like Scorpio spam was a thing that a lot of people used to use because Scorpios used to be really strong. Obviously, they got nerfed with their hook speed and their health, and their damage, I think, at one point. And Pete Poundmores, you'd be able to use Cyclopses sometimes, you'd be able to use Stairmasters with Defendatrons, like everything that you used as a trash mob had to have a Defendatron with it, as well as a Zeke. And that's kind of how it is now as well. You have to have a Defendatron, and even sometimes you might have to have a Robo Shieldatron to defend some of this stuff, because as it is with me, I can one-shot volley Defendatrons and still have 1 or 2 ticks after that to kill off smaller trash mobs. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about building a new castle, but yeah, I'm guessing that most of this stuff is, you know, what you had in terms of materials, so just keep working on it. Like I said, some of that anti-cutting stuff is pretty important, and less Defendatrons in the boss room and stuff like that. But let's jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, next up we have Aboodd. Castle level is a 30. He's got this mage that he validated with. Pretty decent stats on the mage overall. I guess it's slightly low DPS nowadays, but before it would have been great, so let's jump into this. No way to know if this is a new castle or not, so I don't expect to see a ton of new castles. It takes a lot of farming. Like, I spent quite a bit of time this week farming materials so that I could build a castle for you guys next week. Probably more Mighty Quest than I've played in like a month, just in the last like week. Simply because of that. I should not have done this. Oh god. Oh god. I played that so stupidly. Luckily, Stab Assassins are still not amazing units, but these are new Stab Assassins. Something maybe that you could do a little bit better is if you had some way of getting a Corrosive Mind debuff on the person, that would help out a lot. And then, this looks like it's probably a maxed group. I was going to say if it's not a maxed group, maybe you could take out a little bit to add in a Defendatron to make it a little harder to kill them off, but I mean, once they get their damage dealt, they're not really going to do much else because they're such low range. But that's a good way of using Stab Assassins, it's just I think they're a little bit too low damage still. That was really dumb of me though. I should not have done that. Normally I kite things a lot better. You almost have to in these days. You have to pull things around corners, or else the damage that creatures have can kill you instantly. Alright, so that's pretty cool that it is a new castle. It's got some barricades in it as well. I think these are old ballista traps, but like I said before, ballista traps are better, I think, as the old version. I mean, they're not that much better. Looking at the damage decrease as well, it doesn't seem to actually be 50%, it seems to be slightly lower, but the attack speed increase is slightly lower as well, so I mean, it's not a big deal. I think they may have blended the two together a little bit, or, I don't know, some way that resistances were factored in or something. Same as silence traps, I don't think there was much of a change to those. Maybe slightly quicker bubbles or whatever, I don't know. So I have to try to pull this stuff. It looks like that might be a Devlin up there. I barely got it though. It was a Devlin as well. Devlins are very scary if you get up close and personal with them. So the best way, same as Boomerang, actually all of this is really high DPS. There's a little bit too much of an easy time kiting this though. So what could you do to change that? You could probably, you have 4 of these hamster wheels trying to screw the person up getting into those traps, but having those, it kind of makes it a little bit easy to like just volley. Like, I don't care about hamster wheel damage all that much, it's not that high. What you could do in place of it is take out all of these, and then you'd have 12 more points to work with. I mean, imagine like 2 rotating flame traps instead of those. Like, it takes up the same general area, deals the same amount of damage really. I don't know, you want just to have like more pressure overall right here, so that that the person's taking more damage. You can also do things like, instead of using these springboard traps, you could use mouse wheels. That saves up a few points. You basically want to use the points that you have attributed to traps as efficiently as possible, and deal the most amount of damage as possible if they stand there like I did and volley. Because there's no way to prevent someone from doing that, but if you can force out a potion doing that, then it kind of makes up for it, you know?
Just need a second.
As well as mouse wheels doing that. You know, I had stun immunity, so I just kind of get thrown slightly, and then I get right back up afterwards, and could probably have gotten away, but I don't want to get that close to Devlins and Goatmen. They're pretty scary units. Alright, so same general thing here. I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did before. Is I'll wait for these things to get stuck at the end, and then I'll kind of stand here, just volley it. I get hit, you know, by a couple ballistas. After 2 of those I have to use a potion, and even if something pulls out here, I might not even have to use a potion if it drops a health globe. Like if this Jimbo drops a health globe, which he didn't. Neither did the dampener, so I'll have to use a potion here.
Ah, my favorite flavor.
I can't really tell what units were here. It looks like a few derps, the Jimbo, the dampener, and maybe a Defendatron. This is the problem. Defendatrons, against me, they die, and then everything that's trash under them kind of dies as well. I really hope they lower the DPS on heroes again. I actually, like, even though I main Archer, I would like to see a nerf to roll as well. The block chance that you get, 300%, is just way too high. Like, that's completely overboard. And the fact that a lot of these, like, damage-dealing zones, you're going to be rolling into them anyway, you block the majority of that damage as an Archer. And I'd probably like to see that go away. At least reduced. I don't know why 300%, like, wouldn't 100% work? I guess it's multiplied. Your original block chance is multiplied. So whatever you have, like, currently, that's multiplied by 3. So if you only have 10%, you only get up to 30%. That's what it is, okay. So it doesn't actually give you a flat 300%, it just multiplies your original stat. I guess that's a little bit different. I think 100% would be fine, but then, that's even a pretty hefty nerf, like it's 1/3 of what it was, but I think it would be fine. Like, I don't think it would make archers underpowered. But I don't know, I mean, you take for granted how much you actually block when you're playing. Because a lot of times you're not looking at that. I mean, I did just roll and I still get hit, because I don't have that big of a block chance originally. I actually didn't know that, like, this is the first time I read that skill and figured out exactly what it was. I actually didn't know by the name what this guy was going to do, but that actually hurt quite a bit. 800 damage on their basic attack. Alright, there's another one of these guys as well. That's the 3-punch combo guy. I could get one shot by him if I let him hit me. So I just won't do that. Unfortunately, my headshot does like 5,000 damage, so...
Now that's excellent in execution.
You know, I like thinking about like just watching that Pete Poundmore, I kind of had a thought back to one of the like really early castles I did at like level 20, or my first level 20 castle, like before reset. And I remember Corner Bridge being big enough to hold a Pete Poundmore, and having one of those and the only thing you could fit was one of those and a Enrager Puppeteer, and the amount of kills that got for me was actually disgusting. Just those 2 units at the front of my castle got, like, more than half of the people that entered my castle died just to those 2 units. And how, like, different the game is now. It's kind of sad. As well as, like, players just being better in general. Like, I'm sure if people knew a little bit more about the game back then, that was, like, when you were level 20 back then, you actually had only been playing for, like, 2 weeks, so... You know, you're not going to be as good with the Archer, you're not going to know what all the skills do, you're not going to know how to stun things or how to kite properly or anything like that. So, I mean, players have came a long way as well, and that's why certain balance changes aren't working anymore. But it's just kind of funny to think about. Like, I should go through and show, like, I'm sure I have replays of, like, really early videos, and I could take some of those and just do, like, a montage of the ridiculous deaths that people used to have. And some of the mobs that used to be crazy too. Like, I was talking about the Hungerbot thing that I wanted to make, just to show how good they were before and how bad they are now. Like, it's actually disgusting. But anyway, let's jump into the 3rd castle here in just a second. Alright, last up we have DeeRax, castle levels of 30. He's got this Archer that he validated with. It's pretty low hit points and DPS for the update. A lot of, like, yellow gear. Probably a fairly new level 30. So let's jump into this castle. Also, castle has a 0% win rate, so I'm kind of wondering if this is going to be a farm castle. Slightly, or if maybe the monsters aren't full level 30 yet. Those are the two like 0% castles. Like even if the castle's terrible, it usually has. Let's see, it is level 30 derps. It usually does have at least like a 10% win rate. But let's just go through it really quick, see if I can note some changes that would help the win rate out a little bit. All right, I guess I can explore over here, just to find the mines. Most likely are over here. I think that guy was sleeping. Yeah, there's no reason to have that derp there, obviously. I like trap generators on the other side of walls powering things. Like, I think that's a really good thing. It's even better now that knights can disable specific trap generators to, you know, get through things. I don't think many knights are going to take that ability, though. Actually, I haven't seen many people at all. Like, I've seen people going through my castle, like the ballista design that I used. I've seen people use it after they see that that's what I'm using. Like, it works good against those type of setups, but that's the only type of setup that it really works well against. Alright, so these are new creatures. That's good. I'm actually surprised the amount of people that have at least some new creatures in their castle. It's good. Stairmasters are decent. Obviously, you're probably hurting on materials. That's why you're using these smaller groups. Bodyguard is probably better than AoE with Stairmaster specifically. What else? You can fit more of those as well. You know, that helps also. I'm hoping for a buff to Stairmasters on their like AoE circle, the range of it, because it used to be larger than it was. The same as like bear trap archers only launching one bear trap and stuff like that. I'm hoping there's an overall buff to bring everything back up to level 30 status on those abilities. I'm hoping they say that it's like a bug. I was actually hoping that for this next patch that was coming out yesterday or the day before, whenever that came out. Overall, it's a good amount of trap pressure. A lot of people are probably gonna just roll over this instead of going to the sides there. You could put like one corrosive mines in the middle here as well, maybe, just to help that out. Actually, I'm gonna end up getting the debuff on me anyway. It looks like there's some sort of a kill zone up here. So an easy way to get through these that I've shown before in the past is I'm just gonna take a couple hundred damage from these before I go on it, and then I'll have full stun immunity and be able to just kind of jump off of it like that. As a defender side, if you have any mouse wheels around springboard traps, that is always something that can happen. Not many people know about it, but you know, I say it in a lot of my videos, so some people will start using it. I know there's quite a few people that watch my videos and learn things, and the good thing is that usually my defense guides are the more popular of my videos, and people who don't watch viewer castles probably won't hear me say that all that often, because I don't say it in defense guides hardly at all, because I hardly ever do it in my own castles. That's another thing that I don't like about the trap disabling skills is I like to try to think about the general like public of attackers and how they're going to react to my castle. And if I can't do that because some of them might have trap disabling skills and some of them won't, that's one thing I don't like as well. So I mean, this is a decent castle. I don't know why it has a 0% win rate. It might be a new castle and like it's lost like 1 defense or something like that. I mean, it's only taken 2 of my potions, and of course my inventory is always full. I only have like 10 free slots right now, so I have to empty it after every castle or else it'll get full. Yeah, I mean, it's just a decent castle overall. The fire mine setup isn't really useful anymore. It just doesn't deal the damage that it used to deal, because the AoE on the fire mines is lower. But, I mean, it's not that bad. the whole mouse wheel thing inside of the boss room, I feel like spike traps do the same thing. Obviously, there's a stun associated with mouse wheels, but uh, spike traps take less points and they take up more space, so it's almost um, more point like efficient to use spike traps on the sides and then something through the middle in boss rooms. That's why a lot of people do that. It's all about efficiency. You want to be as efficient with your points as possible. That's why that ballista room setup is actually so good, because the points are just so efficient. Like, you spend only a handful of points and it can use a potion, and that's why it's so good. Alright, so yeah, that's number 3, so we're going to end the video here. As always, if you guys enjoyed, please subscribe. If you want to be a part of viewer castles, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com. Level 20 and above castles, and I should start to at least do 1 or 2 of these a week again. Next week, expect, probably a defense guide, at least towards the end of the week. I'm not sure if I'll get to it fully. I know, like, I like to have a couple of days before I publish the defense guide, so that I have a couple people that haven't seen the video going through my defense to at least get a feel for how it is when people don't know, room for room, what exactly is happening. So I'll probably do that, and then a replay day sometime after that. The forest has had 2 updates since I played last. I'd like to do a small, 2 to 4 video series on that again. I don't know when I'll find time to actually do that, though. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. I'm not really sure. But I would like to check some things out. Some cool updates. There's a bow and arrow and stuff now, so I want to try that stuff out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.